Hello YouTube, this is just Kid02 here. I just did the Muppets read-along, the Muppets 2011 read-along. Now I'm going to do its sequel, the Muppets Most Wanted. The narrator is the same one from the last one, David Jeremiah.
This is the story of the Muppets World Tour. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this. Let's begin now. The Muppets were back together again. But what were they going to do next? They met with a tour manager to help them decide.
Dominic, bad guy?
Fozzie Bear couldn't believe that was really the tour manager's name. Dominic corrected him.
It's pronounced bad G. It's French. It means good man.
The Muppets thought Dominic was great. He wasn't a suspicious character at all. Dominic suggested that the Muppets should go on a world tour. Most of the gang thought it was a brilliant idea. But Kermit wasn't so sure. In fact, he wasn't so sure about Dominic himself. He spoke up.
Look, everybody, we can't just blindly jump at the first offer to come along.
It all seemed a little too convenient to Kermit. But the rest of the Muppets were determined. They wanted a world tour. The Muppets set off for Berlin, Germany. Kermit booked their first show at a tiny Berlin cafe. He wanted them to start small, but the Muppets were a little disappointed. They wanted to go big, and Dominic agreed with them. He asked everyone to vote.
All those in favor of believing in ourselves, raise your hands.
All of the Muppets, except Kermit, raised their hands. Dominic continued.
And all those in favor of just giving up?
Kermit didn't think of it as giving up, just being realistic. He slowly raised his hand.
Can't believe I'm voting for giving up.
But the majority won. Dominic found the Muppets a new place to play. The National Berlin Theater. It was bigger than the little cafe, all right. It was huge. The Muppets moved into the theater and began rehearsing. Miss Piggy went straight to Kermit's dressing room. There was something she wanted to talk about right away.
Is now a good time to discuss our upcoming European wedding?
But Kermit hadn't actually agreed to marry Miss Piggy yet. He pointed out that small detail, and she didn't take it very well. She stormed off. Kermit was upset, so Dominic suggested he take a walk to clear his mind. Kermit nodded.
A quiet stroll's not a bad idea.
Kermit walked through the streets of Berlin. The city was full of wanted posters for a criminal named Constantine. He looked just like Kermit, except he had a big mole on his face. Kermit turned a corner, and then suddenly, there was Constantine in person. Kermit was so startled by his look-alike that he didn't even notice when Constantine stuck a fake mole on Kermit's face. As quickly as he had appeared, Constantine disappeared into the night. Just then, the police arrived. They thought Kermit was Constantine, and they arrested him. Kermit struggled.
Oh, hold on, there must be some mistake. I'm Kermit the Frog.
The police put Kermit into a van. As Kermit was taken to a prison in Siberia, Constantine arrived at the National Berlin Theater. He used green makeup to cover the mole on his face. Everyone believed he was Kermit, just as Constantine had planned. Constantine went to Kermit's dressing room, and Dominic followed him in. They were partners in crime. Their plan was very wicked, and Constantine couldn't wait to get started.
We're now positioned to carry out greatest burglary of all time and pin it on those gullible Muppets. We're going to steal the unstealable, the crown jewels of England.
The jewels were locked up in the Tower of London. To break in, the thieves needed 3 special items: a map, a key, and a locket. The special items were on display in museums around Europe. So Constantine and Dominic were going to use the Muppets World Tour as a cover, while they robbed the museums. When the Muppets opened their show in Berlin, Constantine was ready with his best Kermit impression, but he had terrible stage fright and panicked. Constantine fainted. Luckily, Scooter stepped in and introduced the show. Later, when Constantine came around, he told Scooter a lie.
I'm fine. Carry on my show. I have to go for a lie down.
But he and Dominic had other plans. While the Muppets were putting on their show, the 2 thieves broke into the National Treasure Museum and stole a portrait of Colonel Thomas Blood. On the back of the painting was a treasure map. Dominic grinned.
Thomas Blood, the only man to ever steal the crown jewels, or rather, nearly steal the crown jewels. This map, along with Blood's key and locket, is the only way to get close to them.
According to the map, Blood's key was in Madrid. Dominic decided that the next stop on the Muppets World Tour would be Madrid, Spain. Meanwhile, Kermit had arrived at the prison in Siberia. He still had no idea what was going on.
I'm not Constantine. I don't even know who that is. My name is Kermit.
But no one believed him. The guard, Nadia, threw him into a cell and slammed the door shut. She smiled.
Make yourself comfortable. You're going to be here a while.
As the Muppets rode the train to Madrid, Constantine and Dominic planned their next move. They were talking about breaking into the Prado Museum when Miss Piggy came into their car. She felt bad about the fight she'd had with Kermit. But as soon as she started talking, Constantine, pretending to be Kermit, snapped at her.
Pig, I have question. Am I wearing sign that says bother me?
Miss Piggy was shocked speechless. She ran off in tears. Dominic warned Constantine that he wasn't doing a very good job of acting like Kermit, especially with Piggy.
The only way to get away with this, you've got to keep up appearances. Do whatever the pig wants. Keep her happy. Whatever she asks of you.
Constantine realized that Dominic was right. He apologized to Piggy and promised that he would make all her dreams come true. Later, while the Muppets were performing, Dominic and Constantine broke into the Prado Museum and stole Colonel Blood's key. They also found the next clue. Dominic read it out loud.
With Colonel Blood's key, the jewels you may set free, but it is Colonel Blood's locket that you will need in your pocket to capture the jewels.
Constantine wasn't very impressed.
That's it? That doesn't even rhyme.
Dominic shrugged.
He was a thief, not a poet. Give him a break.
Back at the Siberian prison, Kermit was trying to escape. He dug a tunnel with a stolen spoon, but Nadia found it.
Stop digging escape tunnel, Frog.
How did you know?
It's the first escape everyone tries.
She took away his spoon. But Nadia wasn't all bad. She believed Kermit when he told her that he wasn't Constantine. She even put him in charge of the prison talent show. The rehearsals had not been going well, but once Kermit took over, the prisoners fell into line. They liked having him in charge. Kermit started to enjoy himself. The Muppets were never this cooperative. The next stop on the Muppets World Tour was Dublin, Ireland, where Colonel Blood's locket was hidden in the Bank of Ireland. Constantine thought that everything was going according to plan. But the Muppets were starting to notice that Kermit wasn't acting like himself. On the train to Dublin, Fozzie was eating a sandwich when he saw a picture of Constantine in a newspaper. Suddenly, a blob of guacamole fell on the picture, covering Constantine's mold. Now the picture looked just like Kermit. Fozzie went to find Walter. Walter realized what was going on.
Wait a minute. What if Kermit
has been replaced by this Constantine guy.
Fozzie shook his head.
Oh, I wish Kermit was here. He'd know what to do.
Walter brightened up.
You're right. There's only one frog in this world who can save us.
Fozzie, Walter, and Animal set out to find the real Kermit and bring him back. The Muppets arrived in Dublin. While they put on their show, Constantine and Dominic broke into the Irish National Bank. There they found not only Colonel Blood's locket, but Colonel Blood's entire skeleton, still wearing the locket. Constantine remained calm.
Grab the locket.
Constantine's wicked plan was almost complete. There was just one more thing he needed to do. Constantine hurried back to the theater, where the Muppets were just finishing their show. Miss Piggy was on stage. Constantine walked onto the stage and got down on one knee.
Miss Piggy, I have an important question. Do you wish to become Mrs. Piggy? Or rather, Mrs. the Frog?
Piggy was so happy.
Yes, yes, oh yes!
Constantine turned to the audience and made his announcement.
We're putting our tour all alone to be married in 2 days' time at the world's most romantic location, the Tower of London.
This is what Piggy had always dreamed of. But something was off. Kermit didn't normally act this way. It all seemed too easy. Later, Dominic and Constantine were whispering backstage. Dominic did not understand why Constantine had asked Piggy to marry him. Constantine snorted.
In Tower of London, you cannot put on stupid variety show, but you can get married. I realized months ago that our only chance of pulling this off was a Muppet wedding.
Fozzie, Walter, and Animal finally made it to the prison in Siberia. Kermit was backstage halfway through the talent show. He was very happy to see them.
I can't believe you're here. Oh, it's so good to see you guys.
Fozzie explained how Constantine had taken Kermit's place. Kermit frowned.
Wait, how could you not have noticed that, Fozzie? You mean all this time, no one, not one single person with the Muppets noticed I've been replaced by an evil criminal mastermind?
Fozzie shrugged.
It sounds worse than it was.
Walter shook his head.
No, that's as bad as it sounds.
The friends used the talent show to distract the guards, and they quickly escaped from the prison. Meanwhile, the rest of the Muppets were in London, and Constantine was getting ready for his wedding. During the wedding ceremony at the Tower of London, Dominic would steal the crown jewels. Then, Constantine would set off a bomb to cover up the scene of the crime. The bomb was Piggy's wedding ring.
Once she served her purpose, kaboom. It will be bacon for breakfast, and no one can stop me.
Kermit, Fozzie, Walter, and Animal hurried to the Tower of London. The ceremony was already underway.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of this pig and this frog.
Kermit rushed in.
Piggy, it's me, Kermit. Come on, we have to get out of here. The wedding is off.
Miss Piggy was confused. There were 2 Kermits standing in front of her. The real Kermit turned to the Muppets.
I love you. All of you. Even when you drive me crazy, and
Then he looked at Piggy.
some of you, because you drive me crazy.
Piggy realized that he was the real Kermit, and she covered him with kisses. Constantine knew that the jig was up, and he pulled out a detonator. Kermit panicked.
It's a bomb! Constantine blows up his crime scene, so we have to find a bomb!
Conveniently, Bunsen and Beaker had a magnetic bomb attractor vest, which immediately pulled Miss Piggy by her wedding ring toward it. The Muppets took the ring off her finger, and it flew through a window into the River Thames. It exploded underwater, and no one was harmed. But while the Muppets were distracted, Constantine took Miss Piggy hostage. He led her toward his getaway helicopter. The Muppets ran up to the roof, where they climbed on each other's shoulders and formed a ladder. climbed up the Muppet ladder and jumped into the helicopter. Just as Miss Piggy got herself untied, she karate chopped Constantine and knocked him out. Below them, all the Muppets cheered. Kermit turned to Piggy.
Well, guys, I guess you could say justice prevails and love conquers all.
The Muppets were glad to have the real Kermit back and be together again.
I hope you enjoyed that read-along with my... For me to continue videos like this, please donate to my Patreon or PayPal account. That would be graciously appreciated for the St. John Pet Food Pantry to help low-income families feed their pets. Peace.